Hello, hello. Good morning. It's Saturday. Um, and we have a nice core and glutes practice today. So, for the next 20 minutes, that's what we're up to. Um, so let's start as we shall, sitting on a block or a big thick pillow. Have a seat. And we'll start with a little breathing. And then we'll talk about what the core is and what the core isn't. So sit tall, take the back of your head over the back of the hips, close your eyes for a moment, and begin to get present with your breath. Notice how you are breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose. Start to elongate your exhales and make your inhales a little shorter. So you might start off like breathing in for 4 and exhaling for 4. And then you might increase and breathe in for 4 and exhale for 6. Breathe in for 4 and exhale for 8. Breathe in for 4. Exhale for 10. And don't force the exhale, but see if you can breathe in for 4 and out for 12. Again, don't force it, but go to the highest number that you exhaled comfortably and take 2 more breaths just like that. Inhale for 4 and exhale for 8, 10, 12. One more time. And notice your state. Anytime you want to slow your heart rate or get calm in your body, just take a moment, take a breath break, and exhale for more than you're inhaling, and that'll take you into a nice calm state. That's right. All right. So we're going to start off today with a little core work. So want to get the spine, the lower back, and the abdominals long. So just place your hands on your upper thighs and gently push into your upper thighs while you're lifting your chest and shoulders, or mid back, actually, not the shoulders, toward the ceiling. You know, your shoulders are lifted as a matter of just being connected to the spine, just a little bit. We want to push down through your thighs and get the spine nice and long. Let's go ahead and twist to the side. Just a nice, gentle seated twist. And once you get into your twist, breathe in. Big ballooning breath, relax your pelvic floor. Exhale. One more breath. On your exhale, gently turn back to the center and around to the other side. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in one more time. And then exhale. Come back to your center. Inhale and reach your arms up over your head. Big, long spine here. Lift your chest, lift your heart towards the ceiling for a little bitty back bend. And then release the arms on an exhale. So your core is your transverse abdominis. It's not your the washboard abs or the rectus abdominis. It's further back, so it is kind of like the thing that kind of holds your spine and hips and the central focus of your body together. So that's what we want to strengthen today. So we're going to go ahead and come into a hands and knees position. So I'm gonna show you this exercise at a few different levels because I know some of us do core workouts and some of us aren't used to doing as much. So you can kind of just be where you are today and do the version that feels the most appropriate for how you're feeling, how your energy is. So we're going to take the knees back a little bit so that we begin to feel a little tension in the abdominals, like there's a pulling in and a little engagement there. So you can do this exercise here on your hands and knees. Um, and I'm going to demonstrate some of what we're going to be doing. But if you're used to doing planks, you want to tuck your toes under and straighten your legs. When you're in a plank, you want to make sure that your hips aren't reaching up towards the ceiling. And you also don't want your hips to dip down towards the ceiling, towards the floor. That would be the floor. You want your wrist right under your elbow and your elbow right under your shoulder. We're going to hold this position for another breath. But if you really need to put your knees down at any time, put your knees down on the floor. All right, let's take another breath. And we're going to start a little series. So you can do this in a hands and knees position, again, with your knees a little further back so you have abdominal engagement. And what it would look like from the hands and knees position is you would bring your knee towards your elbow. Notice I'm not moving my body here. I'm not rounding my spine. Please don't round your spine. I'm also not, over exaggerating this arch. I'm just level. Knee towards the elbow. Doesn't have to touch. Then aim it towards the wrist. Then bring it back up to the elbow. And then relax. And then we're going to do the other side. Elbow, wrist, elbow, and bring it back. All right, here's for my plank folks. This is what it looks like from plank. Your plank doesn't move, but your knee goes towards your elbow, towards the wrist, back up to the elbow. Take it back. Second side, elbow, wrist, elbow. Take it back. Everybody set your knees down and take a little breath break. And I know some of you might have this question. What if I'm used to doing a plank on my elbows or on my forearms? Not a problem. You can do it on your forearms as well. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to move the knee in those different levels. All right, so we're going to go to the next section of this. So come back into either your plank or your hands and knees. We're going to take this right knee towards your left elbow, towards the left wrist, towards the left elbow, and center your knee down on the floor. You're going to tap 1, 2, 3. Bring it back to plank. All right, here we go with our second side. Left knee goes towards the right elbow, the right wrist. There's a little twist there. Right elbow, center. Tap your knee down on the floor. 1, 2, 3, plank. Set your knees down and take a breath. Okay. So how are you guys doing? Let's kind of put all of that together. Come back into your plank or your hands and knees with your knees reaching back just a little bit. Here we go with this exercise. We go right knee towards the right elbow, towards the right wrist, back up towards the right elbow, to the left elbow, to the left wrist, to the left elbow, center. Tap 1, 2, 3. Bring it back to plank. Second side. Left knee to left elbow, to the left wrist, to the left elbow, over to the right elbow, to the right wrist, to the right elbow, center. Tap 1, 2, 3. Plank. Set your knees down and take a breath. And we're going to do one more. So we're gonna save some of our abdominal energy for this next exercise. So we're going to lie down on our backs, and you're welcome to sit up and keep watching first, and then join me on the floor. So here I am on my back. I'm going to interlace my fingers behind my head, but I'm not actually going to lift my head up off the floor. The knees go in a 90-degree angle. You might be likely to pull your knees towards your face because it's more comfortable. Your abs don't engage. Transverse abdominis is turned off. Now it's turned on. You can really feel that. We're taking the right leg down first. We're going to hover the heel right above the mat or the floor. And then we're going to start to draw a little circle and another little circle in the other direction and bring it back up. Left side goes toward the floor. Take a tiny little circle and reverse and pull it back up. Set your feet down if you did that with me. But if you're watching, come on in. We're going to begin. So, how did your back feel? I want you to notice what kind of position your back is in. I'm going to lift my shirt up a little bit to show that I have an arch. I can reach my forearm under the arc of my back. So go ahead and make that little arc and make sure your back does not touch the floor. And then make a little arc there. And bring your knees up, hands behind the head. Here we go. Right leg reaches, heel right above the mat. Let's make a little circle. 1, 2, 3 in one direction. Little circle 1, 2, 3 in the other. And you really want to get so close to the floor. Bring it back up. Second side. Lengthen. Wind around. The other way. Bring it back. Excellent. You can take a little rest or you can keep going. We're going to do 3 on each side. Keep breathing in and out of your nose. Keep that arc in your low back. If 3 is too many for you today, just know your limits. No, I haven't been doing this. And I know 2 is my limit. Stop. Not a problem at all. If you're doing 3 with me, we're on the second side, last round. And then relax. Roll onto your belly. We're going to do a little abdominal stretch. So on your belly, give you a moment to get there. We're going to stack the forearms, one in front of the other. And with the forearms stacked, we're going to traction forward. And what that means is traction is like when you pull, but you don't slide your body, but you kind of feel like the bones are moving inside your skin. So we're going to traction forward and feel the abdominals elongate here. And then shift your body weight side to side, right and left. Take one more breath here. And then the hands come on either side of the waist to press yourself back. All right. So if you do that, if you repeat that, your transverse abdominis will strengthen quite fast. And the really great thing about that is if you're having any low back discomfort, this is such a compliment to healing your low back pain. All right, so let's do a little glute work. So there are a few different areas of our glutes that we're going to be working throughout this 30 days. And so today we're going to find one of those. And so we're going to find a muscle, the very bottom tip of your gluteus maximus. So I call it the underbutt because it makes so much more sense and it's much quicker than saying the bottom tip of your gluteus maximus. So the gluteus maximus is the biggest muscle in the back of the hip. But at the very bottom, right here, right where your thigh meets your hip, right, that little crease, that little fleshy area. We want to turn that on because especially, if you're a runner or you do a lot of walking or you simply squat down and pick things up off the floor or do laundry, and that area is active. Oh man, you have so much relief in your hips from having that strength. And if you're a runner, make your stride longer and quicker and smoother. So I can't recommend this enough. Let's lie on our backs again and get situated. Take your shoulders away from your ears and down the mat. I want you to start to feel, if you take your hands and you cup them underneath your bum, like you're holding your bum in your hands, and then take your hands away. That's your underbutt. And at any time you can touch, because sometimes that gives us a sensation like, oh, I know where I want to squeeze. I want you to focus on just the right side. We only do one side at a time of glute work. So the right side, we're going to go first on the right. And I want you to squeeze just this area. So go ahead and squeeze your underbutt on the right side and relax. And do it again. I want you to notice everything that's contracting. So what you to notice is the main part of gluteus maximus contracting too. And if the answer is yes, I want you to take it down several notches, like maybe do half or a fourth of the effort that you were doing before. Now, I want you to notice if your hamstrings are also trying to do this work. And if they are, I want you to take your foot and scooch it like a couple of inches forward and then squeeze again, maybe with less effort, and get the underbutt working. Just that little area, isolated, on and off. I want you to check one more thing. Place your hand in the inguinal crease, right where your thigh and your hip meet in the front, and squeeze on and off. And see, are the hip flexors trying to do the work for this little piece of muscle? And if they are, I want you to back off on that amount of effort and only squeeze here until you don't feel the squeezing anymore. And that's the rate or the level of effort that you need to be using to isolate this, to wake it up. So it's not about the biggest squeeze that you can do, because you're going to recruit all this other stuff. But you want to isolate this area. So keep squeezing on and off a few times and don't feel anything here working too hard. Now let's move this over to the other side. I'm going to call everything out again, but it's going to be much quicker. So left side underbutt squeezes up towards your head and off, on and off. And notice for the big part of gluteus maximus. And notice for the hamstrings. And if hamstrings are kicking on, you might scooch your foot out a little bit down the mat, down away from the head. And check your inguinal crease. If your hip flexors are trying to get involved, then you may know, hey, that's why I feel my hip flexors like this. You turn on and off here without the hip flexors, without the big part of gluteus maximus, and without the hamstrings. And you start to do that work and you're going to get so much more power than you ever thought. All right, now we're going to do a little bit more with this. So we're going to go back to the right side. And I want you to press your heel into the floor just a little bit and feel, if you can feel the underbutt turning on because your foot is resting harder into the floor. And then move it over to the left side and see if you can make that heel to underbutt connection here. Excellent. Okay, now roll to your side and push up to seated. And we're going to come into a standing lunge, a high lunge. So I'm going to give you a chance to pop up off the floor. So when we come into this high lunge, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my right thigh. We're going to have the right leg forward first. And it doesn't really matter how high or low you are, but I want you to kind of get into this position where you can really kind of focus on your thigh pulling in toward the hip socket. And go ahead and lift your ribs up off of your pelvis so you get long in the low back. And then from here, once you pull your thigh in towards the hip socket, feel your heel on the floor and see if you can connect it to your underbutt now. Exactly. Now, from the waist down, we're going to leave that solid and steady. I want you to touch the floor slowly, slowly, slowly. Fingertips toward the floor, your right side ribs meet the right thigh here, and then push through the heel and slowly, slowly, slowly come back up to your lunge. I want you to feel your underbutt here. Heel, feel your heel drop into the floor and keep the thigh pulling into the hip socket a little. Down, down, slow, slow, touch the floor, slow, 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 coming up. Okay, one more time. Thigh pulling in, heel connected. See if you can make that connection there. Slow, slow, slow. Perhaps touching the floor, keeping the spine nice and long. And then without momentum, step out. And take a few steps around, and you might feel a little bit more teeth to that fleshy underbutt. Here we are. We're about 20 minutes, so we're going to finish up on the other side so that our other side is going to be even with this side. We'll take a couple of more minutes today. Let's step the foot back, standing tall, pulling this thigh in towards the hip socket, letting your heel drop down into the floor. See if you can make this connection, heel to underbutt. Pull the thigh in this way. Make sure that your knee is not rolling in, but rolling out toward the pinky side of your foot rather than the big toe side of your foot. Now keep everything nice and steady from the belly button down. We're slow, slow, slow touch. Keep the thigh pulled in, slow, slow, slow. Lifting up. Slow, slow, slow. Fingertips touch. And slow, slow, slow. Lifting up. Last one. Slow, slow, slow. Reaching down. And slow, slow, slow. Back up. Excellent. Let's step the foot forward and then have a seat on the floor. I'm going to do a very short little underbutt release, little stretch for the hip. So lie down on your back and lift your right knee up. Bring it in front of your left shoulder. Grab the outside of the ankle and externally rotate here. I'll flip around so you can see from this angle. Here. And take 3 breaths. And relax. Second side. Externally rotate. We'll grab the outside of the heel here. If you can't reach the heel, you can also wrap here near the ankle. Or you can use a yoga strap for this as well. Last breath. And you're all set for Shavasana. So just stretch your legs out long, palms to the ceiling. Close your eyes and take a 5-minute rest. It's a pleasure being with you this morning. Have a fantastic Saturday, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning.